First matter is SAC Finance versus Regina Mast. Ms. Mast, could you unmute your microphone?
Hello, hello, hello. Shout out to LawNerdsUnite. Also, Alyssa sent me a good one from Goggins yesterday. I've been trying to get to it. I got all sorts of good stuff.
There we go.
Hanging out over at the trial.
Yeah.
All right. The file number, once again, is 252423GC. SAC Finance versus Regina Mast. Mr. Andrew Rognus is here on behalf of SAC Finance. A judgment entered in this case in Noble County, Indiana, and the amount of $7,718.26 plus cost and interest, and I don't remember what the actual amount was. Ms. Mast then became subject, I think, to a garnishment after Mr. Rognus registered this foreign judgment in Michigan, and the defendant filed a motion to set aside the default. But there are a couple problems. One, more than 21 days have passed since the entry of the default. And two, the default was in Indiana. And what is going on here is just a ministerial registering of this judgment from another state so they can try to collect it here. Ms. Mast, you filed a motion. I think we waived the fees. You attached a bunch of stuff about the car, and this is the same thing we always get, the car conked out. This happened 8 years ago, and the judgment entered in Indiana, and Mr. Rognus then registered it here. Mr. Rognus, you filed a brief, which I appreciate. You wish to speak to this further?
Yes, Your Honor. Originally, the promissory note or the contract was executed by Ms. Mast when she lived in Indiana. When they did file suit on this, they had to utilize what in Indiana they call an alias summons, and here in Michigan we call alternate service. And they perfected service in Indiana pursuant to trial rule 4.1. So I don't necessarily know that there is any basis to make a collateral attack on that judgment. And as I did indicate in our brief, I guess it's not ideal, but she's only accumulating interest at the Indiana statutory rate of 8%. Instead of the Michigan statutory rate at 13%. Certainly, if she wants to talk about setting up a wage assignment or something like that, our standard operating procedure is once they're paid off, we'll do a step to set aside the judgment, dismiss the case, help them out substantially with their credit history as well.
Ms. Mast, what triggered this? This judgment entered way back in 2017, and what normally happens is things just lay dormant until they actually start to try to collect. So what caused you to file this motion to set it aside?
I was never aware of it. They apparently served me the papers at an address I hadn't lived at for years. So I didn't even know about it until it was too late.
And they sent us a paper last year saying they're going to put a lien on our property, and that's when we found out about it.
Yeah, we got a paper in the mail, I think last year, saying that they were going to try to take a lien out on property that I don't even own. And that was how we found out.
Well, that's a damn fine argument. That's about all you got after post-judgment. If you don't have service, if they didn't have service, then you don't have jurisdiction and the judgment is void. I don't know what happens here, but that's, I'm shocked to see such a clean argument coming out of the chute.
I have no idea, Your Honor. My presumption is that came from the Indiana attorney. But if you were aware at that point in time, you probably should have undertaken something rather than to waive that and be a stop from proceeding further.
Yeah, you have 20. First of all, Indiana says you were served by Deputy Sammy Bremer, Bremer, on June 22nd, 2017. And he filed a document.
Okay, we didn't live there. We gave you a lease for a land contract house we purchased in 2017 before that date. And before that, we lived for a year in 2016 at. This is a motion to set aside because we were not properly served, whether it was 8 years
He
ago.
swore that he served you personally, handed it to you.
No, I don't think it says serve personally, Your Honor. I think there's.
No,
Oh, by their rule. Oh, yeah. Delivering copy of someone's dwelling house.
that's what this is about. We were never properly served. Therefore, it has to be set aside because we had no clue about it. We could never go to the
Just a minute.
trial.
Who's speaking?
I'm a witness to the matter that she
All right,
lived
well,
with
you're
me
not
in
a lawyer.
2016.
You're not a lawyer and you
Okay.
can't represent Miss Mass. So if you just be quiet. Your ship sailed.
You're not a lawyer and you're not a party. Shut your hole.
You got served by Indiana Service in 2017. Whatever that service was good enough for Indiana. So the judgment is Indiana. We then registered the judgment here. And all this business about the car conked out and all that stuff
We're not properly served.
is not necessarily a defense. This is a loan to purchase the car.
In 2007,
Here's your problem there. I didn't realize that though. If this is an Indiana judgment, it's Judge Middleton can't do anything with that. That's for Indiana to deal with.
I hadn't lived in Michigan for years, so I don't understand how that's okay for them to serve papers to a home I didn't live in.
That's the bottom line.
Well, it was good enough for Indiana to enter the judgment. So if you want to move to set the judgment aside, you have to do it in Indiana. I don't have the authority to.
Judge, you just filed a motion for that's not okay. Don't you know that trumps everything? Silly Judge Middleton.
Set aside the Indiana judgment. Now, let's assume they set it aside. In order to set aside a default judgment, generally, you have to establish a meritorious defense and a reason for not responding. Your reason for not responding is you contend that you were not served. I don't know what your meritorious defense is. We may set that aside and say, yeah, you do owe all this money. You borrowed this money, the car was repossessed, and this is what's left over after the sale. So,
I mean, worst case scenario, Your Honor, we
say that again.
Michigan on the promissory note, and then she's at a higher interest rate.
Well, that's not to her advantage, but it's an Indiana judgment. And I do not have the authority to set aside an Indiana judgment.
It's a Michigan claim, though. You're trying to take money out of Michigan. You're a Michigan lawyer. You're a Michigan judge, sir. We had no clue
Yes.
about this.
You're not a lawyer, so shut up. You don't have the right to speak on her behalf.
That's what I was thinking. I can't believe the judge said it. Judge Middleton is on top of the law. That's applicable here. This numbskull trying to tell him the way it is. It was exactly my reaction. That's so good.
I'm a witness. I'm a character witness.
Witnesses don't just come in and represent the person that's the named party. So
The bottom line.
when you get a law degree, you can represent her and you can tell me what the law is. Not something you read on the internet. This is an Indiana judgment that entered in 2017. Nothing was ever done. You never paid anything. You knew you had a judgment. At some point, you knew a year ago they had a judgment, and you never started to pay anything until they started to collect. So, Mr. Rognus, are you willing to speak with them regarding their options?
I will, Your Honor, if Ms. Mast would get in touch with me later on, or if you want to put her into a breakout room, if she's got the time. We've got another.
Let's do a breakout room. Sir, you can speak outside the court. So with Mr. Rognus, you can make your point, but.
It's fine. We never knew about it. We're getting screwed. Now you're screwing us too. It's fine.
Okay.
We prove without a matter of a doubt that we did not live in Indiana. That's fair grounds for you to set this aside. We did not live in Indiana.
Stop. If you want to set it aside, you have to do it in Indiana.
This is a Michigan judgment, sir.
Yes, I understand.
Ms. Mast, if you want to get in touch with me, please do so at some point. It's obvious right now that maybe nothing's going to get it. Okay?
That's gonna
Do I have to go through Indiana court systems to do that? Is that it's been
Well,
past
let's
21
talk
days
about
since I
this.
did it
Let's
through Michigan.
assume you set it aside. What's your defense? They set aside the judgment and then they just start over again.
It's your limitations.
What's your defense? You're supposed to file what's called a meritorious affidavit of defense that says, I don't owe this money because I was the wrong person. I already paid it off.
At the wrong place. They went and up through the back door, basically served it without actually serving me, just so that it would do that, and they would
Well,
automatically get it because I didn't.
That service was adequate for Indiana.
How? I didn't live there. How is that adequate for anybody?
Those are the Indiana rules. You took out a loan with those people. That's the address you gave them. They sent it by first class mail. They posted it there. I can't speak to the Indiana rules, but Mr. Rognus cites it in his brief.
When they came and repossessed the car, I told them to come get it at my address where I lived in Michigan. They picked up the car in Michigan, so they knew I didn't live in Indiana. And yet they still served me in Indiana.
The judge thinks that you were served by a chief of police there when it never happened.
I'm not saying that you were served. Whatever service you got was adequate under Indiana law. And even if I did set it aside, they're going to say, you still owe the money because we had to repossess this car and sell it. And this is the shortfall.
The statute of limitations is 4 years in Indiana. So they're past their statute of limitations. If it's set
They already filed a claim. Stop talking. You're not an attorney. You're not a party, and you're stupid.
aside, they can't bring it back up because it's past the statute of limitations.
Well, I don't know what the statute of limitations is in Indiana,
4 years. 4 years.
but
Okay, and they filed a claim within 4 years, dummy. So that's not applicable.
It's been almost 10.
well, you can take it up with them.
Ridiculous.
The motion to set it, now, Ms. Mass, let me repeat. You've got a couple options. You can call Mr. Rognus at any time and he'll speak. You can go to Noble County and try to set the original judgment aside. This is a Indiana judgment that was registered in Michigan. It complied with the Indiana rules and we registered it here. So I'm not saying that it's fair. Thought I had an order in here.
It probably is.
I do. Anyway, the order to set aside the default is denied. First of all, once you get notice of it in Michigan, you have 21 days to move to set the default aside, which you didn't do.
You were on vacation, sir. We did that. We did that.
All right, you shut up. You
Well,
just
stop
shut up.
fucking lying,
You don't
Bill.
have the
Stop
authority to
lying.
speak.
Stop lying,
So-
Judge Middleton.
The motion to set aside the
Tell 'em.
default was filed
On December 18th.
Soon
December
as we got it in the
18th.
mail. Soon as we got it in the mail, we filed a motion. You were on vacation, sir.
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah.
Again,
Take a
shut
look.
up. You don't have the right to say anything. You just be
Don't tell me to
quiet.
shut up, sir.
I'm gonna mute her microphone. Yes, he doesn't have the authority to represent her. He's a witness. Somehow this got lost by the clerk.
The first time he did it, I swear I was going to find the mute buttons to tell this guy to shut up, and then then Judge Middleton did it. About knocked me off my stool here. That was fun.
They did file it on December 18th, and I didn't see it until January 21st. And they set a hearing date, and they entered a garnishment before we had the hearing on the motion to set aside the default. And then I think maybe it was set the day the courthouse flooded. So we moved the hearing up. And we reset it at an unusual time, which was this morning. So the time that you filed the motion to set aside the default was not from the time that you learned you had a judgment. It was for the time they started to garnish your wages. Those are two different things. So the motion to set aside.
You know, Big Dummy's just still running his mouth over there. You just can't hear it because he's on mute.
The default judgment is denied. It's an Indiana judgment, and the judgment was entered in Noble County, Indiana, which apparently complied with the Indiana rules. I don't believe I have the authority to set aside an Indiana judgment, whether you were properly served or not. If you were properly served, then the judgment stands. They filed something called, and Mr. Rognus provided you a copy of it, an alias summons, which is an Indiana statute that allows them to do what we call alternative service. And secondly, once you found out about the Michigan judgment, he didn't file the motion within 21 days to set it aside. He filed it within 21 days of being informed of the garnishment. So the motion to set aside the default is denied. You can talk to Mr. Rognus at any time. You can call his office, or you can contact the officials in Noble County. But you don't want this garnishment. It's going to take a great big chunk of your money. They can agree to something like an installment payment order or something else. I do have the authority to change the payment. If you filed a motion for installment payments, I could set aside the garnishment on that.
This is cute. Like, it's clear to me this guy's never going to understand, nor does he want to understand. But yes, generally speaking, a judge can only do what's in front of him, and this guy does not get this concept. He's got a post-judgment collection action in front of him. That's what Judge Middleton has in front of him. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything this guy says is...
Which is number one, wrong.
Basis. But I can't set it aside because it's from Indiana. Let me repeat. You can contact Mr. Rognus by phone at any time or stop in at his office. He will discuss this with you. He has the authority to set aside this garnishment and enter into some sort of repayment agreement. You can ask me to set aside the garnishment with a request for installment payments. Or you can go to Noble County, Indiana, and try to set aside the original judgment from 2017. That is not going to be easy to do. This alien summons that they have in Indiana was apparently sufficient for the Noble County Court to enter a default. All right. I guess you don't have to like it. I probably wouldn't like it either. The other issue is whether you have a meritorious defense, even if it is set aside. Your argument that you don't owe the money. It's going to have to be prevailed in Indiana. So, all right, I'm sorry you don't like it, and I wouldn't like it either, but your motion set aside the default is denied, and I will.
This is civil. They don't get assigned an attorney. The attorney would cost as much as the damn money that they could settle with these people for less than what it would cost to hire a good attorney. And you would have to hire 2 attorneys because they need one in Indiana and then they need one in Michigan to straighten this crap out. It's not worth it.
Do the order. All right. And again, you can contact Mr. Rognus at any time.
Zach told me I'd like that, and he was right.
23 TR 312, 24 F4 F025, and 127, 25 TR 532, 533, 534, and 535. State of Wisconsin, Village of Siren, County of Burnett versus Rain Roy. We're here today for a financial review hearing. Mr. Roy, you failed to appear at the last hearing. A warrant was issued. You were placed into custody. At that time, you were later released because you were just beginning a job at the Burnett Dairy and making $20-some an hour, and I believe it's full time. You owe a significant amount in fines, fees, restitution, going all the way back from your juvenile years until present. What's going on, Rain? Where are you? And fill me in.
Well, I did lose my job.
How?
A sick note. My
What?
my supervisor gave me advice to provide a sick note to the Burnett Dairy as I was sick with influenza and a stomach bug.
And did you actually have the legal or the medical documentation that proved a positive test?
Yep.
Okay.
I sent it to HR, but it was just being that I was new and I hadn't been there for, I was still in a trial period. They terminated
And you can
me.
give me that I want those medical records. I want to see that it's a positive test for influenza A.
I sent it to Tessa too as well.
Okay. Not just the doctor saying, I think you have the flu. I want it to be a positive viral test, a medical test.
Okay.
Okay. So was it a positive?
It was a statement saying that I was sick.
That's not accurate.
Yeah, they just never tested me for it.
Then I can see exactly why you were terminated.
Yeah, and I understand now too.
And that goes completely 1,000% against my order. Does it not?
Yeah, it does.
Because these are actions that you caused that you should have done and went above and beyond. If you're sick, you're sick, you're sick, but you still go to work unless you have a viral test that comes back positive, a medical test, not a doctor saying, well, this could be the flu. You could have a cold. You could just be faking it.
The only reason they didn't test me is because I had the same, they had 15 people within 5 hours having the same symptom. And it was all like a stomach bug that was going around. And my family and the entire house had influenza, which is why I went in general to get tested for influenza. And the only reason I called in because my face became infectious, like rashes everywhere.
Do you know, I had the same thing and I was still here every single day, wanted to die, but I sat up here. I did my job.
I understand.
Other people do the same thing. The district attorney does the same thing. When he feels like he's on death's door, you go in, you do your job.
I understand.
Now, what am I going to do? You owe like $30,000 and I have 4 cents that you pay. It's getting ridiculous and absurd because this has been 5, 6, 7 jobs now because your $10 an hour grim tech, cleaning or doing cars, detailing cars at 10 hours a week is not enough.
I understand.
I'm getting to the point where I'm beyond frustrated, Mr. Roy.
I understand.
I don't know if you do understand. Because you lost a job that could have meant a completely different world for you because you were sick.
I don't know if he's taking this seriously.
I'm not going to take it easy on you anymore. I'm not going to just say that you can pay $50 a month on your $30,000 that you owe. It's not going to happen. 6 months for every single case that you are not paying on, 6 months of jail. You have prison hanging over your head. There's more to being, there's more to life than maintaining your sobriety and just being sober. You have to grow up and be an adult, pay your bills, go to work every day.
Oh man, I gotta get together.
And be sober. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do now?
I get my last paycheck either. I have a direct deposit. I can make a payment as soon as possible, as soon as I get.
Yep, great, grand, wonderful. Okay, all great, grand, and wonderful, but you owe thousands of dollars in past rent. You have no place to live. You have no car. You have no driver's license. And it's been, I think, 2 years now, almost a year and a half. We're working extremely hard to get you on that path. And the only one standing in the way is you. You've had this job in front of you. You've had this job in front of you. You've had this thing. You've had an apartment pretty much given to you for nothing. And you blow it each and every time. So now you need to find a different plan and a different path, because it's getting to the point where I'm not going to take this, that, or the other. You should have still sat. I should have made you sit in jail a whole lot longer than I did, but I let you out so that you could go to your job.
I need the Dumb and Dumber "You are one pathetic loser," because that's what this is. This is the "You are one pathetic loser" speech.
Did you go? When was that? When were you let out of jail?
I was let out on Friday, and I went back to work on a Sunday.
Okay.
When I started, because that was my days off.
And when were you sick?
I'm pretty sure it was Monday, Tuesday, I believe.
So you went to work on Sunday, but then you were sick Monday and Tuesday.
Yes.
Bull crap. Bull crap. Don't believe it. I don't believe it. All right. So you're going to have to figure it out, because you're going to have a job by the next time I have a hearing. I don't care how many dollars an hour it is, but you will be working at minimum 20 at minimum, not including grime tech. That doesn't count. That doesn't come into this whole play. You will at least have a job in the parameters of the job that you are permitted to do within treatment court, 20 hours a week. I'm not fooling. I'm not messing, or you're going to be sitting.
I will make sure that I have that.
Okay. So we have
Morgan trying to sound straight. Oh, that makes my day. It really does.
drug treatment court this Thursday. I'll get an update on this Thursday. And I'm setting another hearing right now so that we can come back and we can review this. April 8th, 3:30, April 8th at 3:30, we're going to see where you are. And if I have to keep being the one to continue to make sure you're doing what you need to do, and it's more than just in treatment court, I am going to do that.
I will have a job by then.
And again, you don't have the ability, you can't call in sick. Here's the thing now, you can't call in sick without getting my permission. All right? My permission. And the only way to get my permission that you cannot go to work because you are sick is if I send you to the doctor and you have a positive medical test, not some statement, because I'm going to tell you, love doctors, they're great, but doctors can pretty much, it depends on the doctor, say what you want them to say. Okay. They'd probably write the dog ate my homework. So that's what it's going to be. Give me an update on Thursday. I want at least 4 viable options of jobs, 20 hours a week. At least 4 viable options. If not hey, I landed one.
Mocha's like a yippy little chihuahua. I mean, it's like, they're really going at it. They're making a lot of noise. Yeah, they think they're fierce, but it's just kind of cute.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then we will see you on Thursday at treatment court. Mr. Hatch is here, so I don't know if he needs to talk to you or see you, but good luck.
Yeah, this. Stay with that, Mr. Bro. Mr. Rojas, you have Taylon Douglas. Taylon Douglas. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's not a fact.
This is, yeah, this. Good morning. Are you Taylon Douglas?
Yes.
Give me just a second. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Will your client waive the formal reading of the motion?
He will, yeah.
I didn't already have that. Sorry. This is cause number 25, DCCR 0895. And Mr. Douglas, I have a motion to revoke your unadjudicated probation. This shows that you were placed on probation November 18th of 2025 for the offense of obstruction or retaliation, a 3rd-degree felony. And that was a 3-year deferred probation. Is that correct? And this motion alleges that you violated your probation in count 1 only by failing to act in a courteous and professional manner, by incurring 3 new incident reports while housed at the Jefferson County Jail, including a physical altercation with another inmate on November 29th, 2025, which was the same day of your last hearing. And so is that true or not true?
True.
Did you enter your plea of true to count 1 freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And because it's actually true?
Yes.
So he never even made it.
I know. That's just.
Yeah.
And I guess once you did that, you decided, screw it, I'm going to do whatever I want because I already know I'm going to get in trouble because you've been acting like an absolute fool in our jail. I'm not sure 4 years is enough. I need to think about this for a minute. I mean, is it really that hard to follow the rules?
No.
You didn't want to get out? You did? You got a problem with showing yourself while masturbating to the female officers out there, don't you? You don't?
I don't know. Problem.
You don't have a problem? You just like to do it and you think that's cool to do that in front of?
No, Judge, it works out fine. I do it all the time, and there's not even a hitch.
them, even though you know you're going to get written up and go to prison for that? Was that worth it?
Oh, no.
Have a seat in the jury box. I'm not sure that I'm going to accept this agreement. Mr. Rojas, Mr. Douglas, come back up. Is there a, I need the certification. Who's this? Kaylin Douglas.
Yeah.
Kaylin Douglas. It should have been with, oh, never mind. Did I print it? Nope, I haven't yet. I kept it. That's why. Okay. All right. So just for the record, and I've gone back to review the pre-sentence report just to remind myself of what was in that and kind of what got us where we are now. And Mr. Douglas, I hate this because I really, really, really wanted you to succeed. I really did. I wanted you to be able to go to ISF, but I can't not stick to my word. I told probation when you were here. I told you when you were here, no more incident reports before ISF or you're not even going to make it. And it has been 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. What day were we here? Dozens, at least. The sentence date was supposed to be, the sentence date was November 18th. So since November 18th. You've been caught with looks like kind of a makeshift tattoo needle. We've got 1, 2, 3. Four or 5 at least times when you have been exposing yourself while masturbating to the officers, spraying other inmates with disinfectant spray, horse playing, smoking. I mean, it's just.
Judge, I certainly understand your thoughts about it not being enough time, especially with the incident reports you're having a problem with on all these people in the jail.
No, I think I'm going to go along with what you guys have agreed to. I just wanted some time to look at it. That I'm just reminding myself of all. I mean, the fact that you got this in the first place, because we went through, I have it all marked off on this PSI, your juvenile history and the opportunity you were given now that you're an adult to change your life and just follow simple rules. So I am going to, let's see. So I have documents here on this tablet that have your signature on them, but the state's marked as exhibit number 1. Before you signed these, did you go over them with Mr. Rojas?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you fully understand them?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand if I go along with this agreement that you're waiving any right to appeal?
Yes, ma'am.
State tenders number 1.
No objection.
It's admitted. Is there any evidence that Mr. Douglas is not competent?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Douglas, I'm going to find that you entered your plea of true to count 1 freely and voluntarily. Find that count true. Find sufficient evidence at this time to find you guilty. Okay, something wrong. Find you guilty of obstruction or retaliation, a 3rd-degree felony. Sentence you in accordance with your agreement to a term of 4 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. I'm going to hand you the trial court certification that shows this was an agreement that I followed, so you waived your right to appeal. I'm also going to hand you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. Because of the judgment entered against you, you're ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. If you have any questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or about how long that lasts, you can talk with Mr. Rojas. And so today, just Mr. Douglas, just because you got time today does not mean that you still can't do better and change your life. Better you act in prison, the sooner you're going to make parole. The sooner you do that, you can get out, hopefully follow the rules and have the best life you can. You get in TDC and act like you've been acting in our jail, you're going to end up doing the whole 4 years. But you're eligible for parole in less than 2. In about a year and a half, you're eligible for parole. And that's going to be 100% up to you. And I can assure you, you're not going to get it if you keep acting like this. All right? You can go back with the bailiff.
My God. It's amazing that, like, I get it, but it's just amazing that someone could be competent and do that. I mean, I'm sure that they know what they're doing. I'm not saying they're wrong. It's just like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, you have that little impulse control or whatever the hell it is, and yet you're still deemed able to make decisions.
Or is it Cassidy?
Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're-
All right, that was all Zach. And, I think Mikhail was in on some of this too. This one Alyssa sent me yesterday, but I didn't have a chance to get to it.
Don't see a K too often there. Cassidy and then Freedom Investment Group. Do you have anybody with Jim Sikalis right there? Are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear somebody. I'm looking for Jim.
Is that my title right there? 4 years for wanking. Good job. I don't know. Sometimes it's the simple things that get me. That's just perfect, Larry. That's perfect.
Sikalis?
Yes, that's me.
Sikalis?
Sarcastic clap.
All right, get you there. I'm going to change your. Well, you got 2 devices going. Let's.
Yeah, I didn't know which one was going to work for me.
Okay, why don't we take the other one off so I'm not getting confused? I'm going to remove the other one that gets your picture on, okay?
All right.
Yeah, let's do that way. Put your name on there. Okay, the party's here. And his first thing, let's see, Freedom Investment Group. Have the 2 of you talked at all?
No, the last time that I spoke with Jim, he had told me to never contact him again, and that his would be in touch with me. So I've never tried to reach out again.
Okay.
Did you get the book that I dropped off on Friday?
I've got a notebook here, 3-ring binder of some sort.
Yes.
There. Okay. And it just says landlord negligence. I guess, let's see, affidavit. Oh, here it is. It's another part of it. You had an alias, and then looks like you're seeking $6,400 recovery from landlord for water deposit, unsafe and uninhabitable conditions. Have the 2 of you talked at all about this part? I know you're saying that recently, but
No.
Mr. Sikalis, would it help if I give you a chance to talk?
No. I mean, first of all, they're suing the wrong person. Secondly, they filed in the wrong jurisdiction, and they're also filing false claims. They were a tenant on a month-to-month basis,
Okay,
and they got evicted.
Hold on, Mr. Scott,
Sure.
don't give me everything yet. Just because those ones might kind of dictate what I'm
Sure,
going to
I'm
do.
sorry.
You're, Miss Ross, you're renting some property?
Yeah.
Somewhere from. Where was the property rented it from?
So the property was 3432 Concord, and we actually went through this when he was going through eviction court. We were going
Okay,
through.
hold on. Let me just get
She does have a couple of good arguments.
some 3432 Concord.
Yep.
And
It's
where is that?
Flint Township.
It's in Flint Township.
Yes.
Okay. And who are you renting it from?
From Jim Sakalis, the investment.
Is that who's on the lease?
Yes, I wrote down on the paperwork exactly how it was wrote down on the lease. With the Freedom Investment Group LLC with sole proprietary as Jim Sakalis.
Okay.
And I do have a copy of the lease in the binder as well.
So I was just going to ask if
Yeah.
we're getting in the binder here.
Yep, there is a copy. If you look at Exhibit A, that is the amendment to the lease agreement in which it is signed as Jim Sakalis, trustee, Concord Land Trust CEO, president. So. And we had went through this already with having the wrong township. We had Judge Marsh at first, and then we corrected that.
City, yeah, okay. Well, hold on, let me just.
Oh yeah, hell, they made Kool-Aid out of it.
So, Mr. Sakalis, it looks like the lease agreement, wrong party. It looks like it's got your name on there, plus it looks like it was rented between the Freedom Investment Group, LLC, which she's listed as well. What's wrong with the names?
Well, they filed it with the wrong address when I got notice.
Well, let's not get to the address yet. You're here, but let's just stick to the rental agreement first. It's got your name on here. It's also got the Freedom Investment Group. How is that the wrong party?
That's correct party. I was just basing it off of what I got handed to me in person, which was under my name personally. And there was no reference to the property in which they resided at a few months ago.
Let's see what she's got here. I've got.
And this is Flint Township.
Okay, but let's just kind of slow down and go through them then. I've got Jim's. I'm sorry, am I pronouncing it correct? Is it Sakalis?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. She's also got Jim Sakalis and Freedom Investment Group LLC. She's got both listed.
Okay.
So that part, and then you said jurisdiction is not right. How is jurisdiction not appropriate?
This is in Flint Township. I'm assuming she filed with the city of Flint from the paperwork I received.
Well, apparently she's told me.
This is an all-star stream so far. Not that I did anything. This is all Zach and Alyssa.
Originally it was City of Flint, but this one's with Flint Township, which is my court.
Okay. I'm just basing off of the paperwork I got, Your Honor.
Yeah, no, I know. No, and I'm not, I just want to make sure we go line by line, make sure we get what we got right. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so those names there look appropriate. Let's see. And when was this terms of this lease agreement? Let's start there. Miss Ross, why don't you help me out with that?
That was 8/21/2025.
What is that date?
I mean, I wasn't going to say
That was
anything.
the day that we signed this lease agreement.
Signed it? Okay. And it was, how long was the term for, without me having to go through it? How long was the term for?
This was a month-to-month lease.
Okay.
It was actually because I
Month to month. Okay.
have a 13-month lease, and then we had amended it about 2 months into staying there into this new lease, which was now month-to-month.
Okay. So we got a month to month lease, it looks like. And let's see, images we're looking for. So you're asking for $6,400 total.
Yes, sir.
So you got to help me break. It says landlord negligence. Help me out with that. What does that mean?
I have everything kind of broken down. The very first page here in the book kind of shows you in chronological order what happened at the property.
Okay, so let's just start our hearing then, and we'll have to work through it then for both your sakes. I think we through the legal parts that I can kind of address with both of you. Well, Ms. Ross and Mr. Scouts, why don't both of you raise your right hands for me? Get your hands raised, Mr. Sakalas?
Yes.
Okay, do you swear from the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Ross?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's start out. You've got this broad statement on the alias negligence. Let's see what you had on the original.
I know it is a little broad.
Yeah.
So you want me to?
Recovery for it. Yeah, let's go through the ones that are the easier ones. Water deposit. You're
Okay.
asking for water deposit.
So we moved into the property on August 2nd. And when we moved, prior to moving into the home, we had let Jim know that we could not afford the $500 deposit to get the water turned on. He let us know he would contact the township and then he would let us know kind of what they said. And we any response from him. He knew we were kind of working on a time limit. So we to move into the home anyways. So we didn't water.
So why would you move in without an agreement on the water right off the bat?
Well, we had come up to an agreement that he was going to basically get the water turned on and that we would pay him back for it. But he never contacted us to let us know how much they were charging him. But our other lease to our last house was going up and he knew it was going up. And so that we basically would have nowhere to go.
So let's start out. So you moved in on August 2nd, right? Of 2025?
Yes, correct.
And was the water on at that time?
No, the water had not been on in 3 years at that point.
I'm sorry, it had not been on. So when did the water get turned on?
It got turned on August 16th when I paid the township to get the deposit turned on.
Okay, so you and that I'm gonna guess then was from what you're telling me was part of your lease agreement that you'd be responsible for water. Is that true?
Paying the bill on the water, yes, but not getting the water turned on. We lived in the home for 14 days without having any water and he knew we didn't.
So why did you stay there then?
We had nowhere else to go. We would have been sleeping outside.
Well, and fortunately, you should have moved in then if you hadn't had things worked out.
Well, that I understand, but I also thought that he shouldn't have been let us move into a house that didn't have water because that's not habitable.
Well, but you were responsible for the water to be turned on. There may have been agreement that he would get it turned on originally, right? So you moved in on August 2nd. Mr. Sakalas, why wasn't the water turned on August 2nd then when they moved in?
Because they didn't have the money, and I told them they could not move in until the water was turned on, and they took it upon themselves to move in anyway. So they clearly trespassed on the property, and then they started residing there.
I'm sorry, how was it considered trespassing when we signed a lease and we were given keys to the property?
I did not give you the keys to the property. It broke in. There's a front window that was broken out.
The padlock.
And you
both doors, sir.
Yeah.
I have the messages where
Ooh, she is really not likable.
Jim gave me the code to
Hold
unlock
on, guys.
the front door. I have messages of that.
And I have messages showing that you were not supposed to move in without having your utilities turned on or doing a walkthrough. You refused to do either.
No, you don't.
I actually also
Guys, hold on. Yeah, I'm not gonna have the two of you arguing between the two of you. It's my court. We're gonna do it my way, okay?
Yes.
So Mr. Sakalas is telling me though he told you couldn't move in until the water was turned on.
He never said. Your Honor,
Never said that.
messages proving that he was going to get the water turned on. I have messages of that.
Same here, sir.
We have those. Like I can show those to you. We did not break any windows. Nobody trespassed. He
Somebody's
gave us
crazy.
the code to get into the home. I would not be here today if I broke into a home. I promise you that.
So let's just start out though. You moved in, there was no water, correct?
Until I could afford to turn the water.
Okay. And so ma'am, okay, let's just move on for that then. So how are you seeking damages for water if you've got it turned on? You lived there for 2 weeks, apparently voluntarily without water.
So I do have to, I did attach an exhibit B2 and B3 3 different MCL excerpts that are
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what about
Those-
the water itself.
that's
How
what
do, what's your cover? How are you asking for water damages?
this is right here, because the premises
Sure is.
basically stating that a home is supposed to be fit for habitable use before someone moves in. If
Did you file? Okay, so let's just start out there then. Did you send him a notice that, listen, I have no water?
yes, I did. Yes, sir.
When did you do that?
I have text messages. Let me find it real quick in the book.
And that's probably when he said, "Okay, don't move in until you get the water turned on." Just a guess.
And I can tell you exactly where that's at in here. And then once the water was turned on, because it hadn't been on in 2 years, a bunch of burst pipes. And so when the township came and they did turn the water on, water sprayed all across the house. They had to actually replace the valve to even get my water working.
Okay, was that done?
Yeah, that was done by township themselves. And they actually told me that, and they changed my meter. My meter was busted. They told me I couldn't even use my water because my meter was broken. And she told me it was a $600 charge, but she wasn't going to charge me because she knew that I needed water. Right here, I have these messages. Exhibit C would show Brandon messaging August 18th saying that we still can't take showers. We're just going to fix this ourselves. Because even after we got the water turned on, so the water was turned on and things were fine, then we found our water improperly vented. My dad had actually come and do repairs, because I have messages in here too also stating that there was 2 or 3 day gap between when Jim was going to have his contract come to fix
that. What am I looking for?
That's going to
conversation.
Exhibit C. Right there, Brandon's telling him that we still can't take showers because our water heater was improperly vented. And my father told me that if we were to turn that water heater on, that
ma'am, I'm not going to listen to what anybody else told you. Okay.
Okay.
Where's Exhibit C though? I got a bunch of tab things. I'm looking for.
It's behind tab
3. I got you. Okay, tab 3.
That was me kind of just explaining though that the water heater was single vented instead of B vented, and if we would have turned the water heater on, it would have killed us.
Okay, hold on. This tab 3 though aren't exact conversations. This is just you summarizing things, correct?
That's pretty much the whole conversation.
But it's not like a text message. It's nothing. It's just you summarizing what.
No, those.
Here's me summarizing and revising it in my favor. Oh, okay. Well, then it's got to be true. I don't understand people. I don't understand people. I don't know how you can say these things with a straight face.
They're different. They're different colors. They're black and white.
Oh, it's on the second page of it. Oh, wait, hold on. The black. Oh, I got you. I'm looking at tab 3. It says it's got a bunch of summaries on it. Okay.
And
so it's the second page. Hold on. Let me just see what you got.
Also, Judge, I'd like to point out that I'm very handsome because my mom told me so.
Is Jim checking back? Water heater. Well.
Oh.
Okay, so the page I'm looking at says, hey Jim, Mark is coming tonight to fix our water heater and toilet. What is the date on this page? Do you have a date? I can't read the date.
Yeah, that was August 18th.
August 18th. So this is way past the move-in date.
Way past the move-in date. And I had been asking.
So I'm still stuck on the water itself, though. You don't have any conversations with him telling you, listen, go ahead and move in, the water's not on, or you saying, hey, how come we don't have any water? Do I have anything like that?
That was on, no, because it was on a call.
That was on a call. Okay.
And then the
So
keys.
tell me, so let's start right from that part. When was the first telephone call that you did not have water? When did that happen?
That would be August 2nd. The minute that I walked in there, I used the bathroom. I tried to flush the toilet. It didn't flush, and I immediately called Jim and asked him what the heck was going on. And he let me know, oh, basically what he said was, oh, they told me it was $500 too, couldn't help you, sorry. And at that point, I was already in the home. The thing was,
So hold on, just answer my questions, okay? So you called him on August 2nd after you moved in,
yes, sir.
and you asked him what's going on with the water, correct?
Correct.
What was just the response on that? What was the response? What's going on with the water? What did he tell you?
They told me the deposit was $500 as well. Sorry, I couldn't help you.
Okay, $500. Sorry, I can't help you.
Pretty much.
Okay, so at that point, you knew you didn't have water, and they needed a security deposit, 500, or at least a deposit for water, 500, correct?
Correct.
So what was your response to, hey, they need $500 deposit? What did you say back? Anything?
I immediately started crying and freaking out because I was wondering what I was going to do without water for 14 days. This has never happened before. Nothing like that happened.
Wait, Lane got to be even. God damn, dude. They can't fucking walk. Wow.
What I am not sure who's who that is. Mr. Scalaz.
Yes, Your Honor.
So
Yes, Your Honor.
she says she gave you a call on August 2nd and asked what was going on with the water. Did you answer a call with that?
Yes, I reminded her that it was her responsibility per her contract to have to pay the $500 deposit before she moved in, and she was not supposed to be moved in, and we didn't even do a walkthrough. Had we done the walkthrough, she would have known there was no water on yet, and she needed to abide by her agreement. It clearly states tenant's responsible for turning on utilities, including water. She knew that, and she moved in anyway.
Judge, can you show me in our lease agreement where it states that? Because our lease agreement's printed out in the book.
I'm just asking about the conversation between the two of you right now. Okay. He says that his response was, listen, you know, you're responsible for the water. You didn't, you just kind of moved in without a check-in list or anything. Did you fill out a check-in list when you moved in?
No, sir, I did not.
Why not? Why not?
Because it's the second place I've ever lived. I didn't think that I would.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I would have to make a form to not be gypped out of not having water for 14 days.
And that's part of the reason they needing a check-in sheet. He's by law supposed to provide you with a check-in list.
He did not.
Okay, and he's telling me that's because you just moved in without going through it with him.
Not true.
We also did a walk-in.
We did a walkthrough, and I also have a text message.
Hold on. When was the walkthrough?
August 1st, literally the day before we signed the lease to move into that place.
Mr. Scalise, is that true? Did you do a walkthrough on August 1st?
No, we did not, Your Honor. And to answer your question, page 4, it clearly states utility and services are the tenant's responsibility.
So you're telling me that in no form did you go through the house on August 1st with them?
Correct. It was prior to the 1st where they walked through the property to see if it was the property they were interested in moving forward with. After that, I didn't receive notice of them occupying the property until the 2nd when they called me and said they didn't have water. And I reminded them of the fact that the utilities were their responsibility and they would have to pay the $500 security deposit per the Flint Township requirements.
And so, Mr. Sagals, I'm going to ask you then, once you told them that they're responsible for the utilities, that includes the water, what was their response to you?
They didn't say anything more to me. They said, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And I didn't hear from them for a while. And then they started complaining about not having showers. And I, again, said, why are you in the property without utilities? We didn't do a formal walkthrough. And then they started harassing me with slanderous remarks, text messages, emails. Her boyfriend called my wife a whore, threatened to kick my ass, threatened our contractor, wouldn't allow access to do the repairs. I have all this.
Wait, just a second. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Ma'am, are you a whore?
Documentation with my attorney, Your Honor. I've had nothing but harassments from these people. They're terrible, evil people.
So when
Is that what we're talking about?
when they're, I guess after this August 2nd date, they're still there apparently a couple weeks later. Why did you ask them to move at some point?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
When did you ask them to move?
On the 2nd, I said, you cannot move your belongings in there and take occupancy until you get the utilities on. And the last message I received from her, when a text message, was, we'll figure it out. And then I didn't hear from her again for about a week or so when she started complaining about the shower not working. I'm like, I'm confused. I thought you were going to get your water turned on.
Your Honor, I have a message from Jim that says on July 22nd, good morning. Please call Flint Township to get. So I'm sorry. I apologize. I was off about the August 1st. So July 22nd, he messaged, good morning. Please call Flint Township to get your water turned on and utilities transferred. It would be great if you could have your water on before move-in so my contractor can make sure everything's pressure washed. So that is not him stating that we have to get it done. He stated it would be great if we could have it on before we move it.
Hold on. When was that conversation?
That was July 22nd, 2025.
Okay, so at that point, you knew there wasn't going to be water on unless you got it turned on.
Correct.
So why would you move on into the property knowing that there's no water at that
Why
point?
would he let me move into the property knowing there was no water? I texted back. I said,
He just told you need to contact Flint Township. What you just told me.
agreed.
On July.
And I have a message in here. I replied July 22nd. I tried to get the water turned on, but they said they need proof that the taxes have been paid. He responded back and said, tax bill isn't due until September. I said, thank you. He said, I'm here now. When you come, ask for an affidavit. I said, okay, thank you. I should be able to leave work a little bit early. July 20th. He said, thank you. Let him know about apartments.com. July 29th, he messaged, hey, just checking to see if utilities got turned on in your name. I said, hello, Jim. Like I told you, we had to pay our last month rent and utility, so we planned on trying to turn them on Friday.
Okay, so when was the date he said, I'm calling regarding if you have water turned on already? When was that?
July 29th, 2025.
July 29th?
Yes, sir.
So he's calling you saying, hey, have you got the water turned on yet?
But at that point, we had already lived there. We were already there.
No, you said you moved in August 2nd.
And like I said I accidentally made a mistake. That wasn't the date. I apologize. I had the move-in date incorrect. It's a lot of information, and I'm trying to get it all to
Yeah, a lot of information, and you have all of it wrong.
you, so I don't waste time.
Too late.
And also, Jim just stated that on the 2nd that he made that call, which was incorrect, obviously, because we had the dates wrong.
Right. So
that right there is
Both of you have dates wrong.
Right.
And it sounds to me like
he was going off of our date.
Let's go on to the next thing. Let's go on to the next complaint. So we got water. What are you claiming?
It is best to have your lies organized. I'll give her that.
For damages for not having water turned on.
So I
You stay there. Just that part. That's all I want to know. Just that part.
I want $500 for my water deposit. I want my water deposit back because I don't believe I should have had to turn that on. I believe that was him and I never agreed that I was going to turn the water on to make that.
Ma'am, you moved into a place without water and the lease is clear. It says you're responsible for utilities.
But that includes making sure that water's even turned on before moving in.
I would think so.
Yeah.
If you didn't have water back in this conversation when he's asking about water being turned on.
Sir,
So what else? What else? Hold on. Well, let's just go on to the next thing.
Where?
So what else? You have $500 you're claiming for water deposit. What else?
and I also so I have messages in here where I let him know that there was pipes that were burst that were causing leaks. And my one single month of a water bill for Flint Township was $410. And I let him know that those pipes were leaking, and yet nobody came to ever look at them or repair them. I have the $410 water bill is in the book all the way in the back. And I also have a copy of a formal request that I made for him to come and repair the leaky pipes that he never came to repair.
That's waived for the threatening of the contract.
So how much was this is your first water bill?
Was
$410?
Correct.
I'm sorry, was what?
$410 for 1 month of water.
And when did you call him that the pipes were leaking?
That would be August 28th. I didn't call him, but I sent him actually a formal request for repairs via email, which is also in, give me just a second, I'll find it. Yeah. Exhibit D. So that's on the,
What is that number? Which one?
under, that's Exhibit D. So under tab, it is,
Probably.
is it 4?
I'm guessing. I'm just asking.
Tab, no, it should be tab 3, notice to landlord /
Oh, it's
communication.
still under 3. Okay.
Yeah. So the formal request is Exhibit D. So that's where I was letting him know that the bathtub had a continuous leak, which was appearing to be related to a damaged pipe, which is time stamped up top as August 25th or 28th. I did put in here that leaks are leading to unnecessary water waste and could be increasing utility costs.
All right, I want to see Scrapbook take on the spreadsheets in a head-to-head battle royale.
Kindly asking that the issues be repaired as soon as possible to prevent further damage and additional expenses. In which maintenance was never scheduled to have someone come and check it out.
Notice here. What date was that?
You said on the notice for
The notice that you're talking about, it says, "Dear Jim, I am reaching out to request several necessary repairs."
Yeah, you're looking for the date on that, you said?
Yeah, it
The
doesn't
top-
have a date on it.
Yeah, it's on the top left corner under the address. This is Cassidy N.
Oh,
Ross.
I see. It's underneath your address. I got you. Okay, August 28th. Okay, Mr. Scales, let's talk about that notice that she says she sent out to you, August 28th. Do you remember getting that notice?
Yes, I received the notice and I immediately sent my contractor out there, Mark, to get access to take care of those repairs. I have receipts of proof that the repairs were done. I also have proof of multiple text messages from her boyfriend, Brandon Small, threatening me and Mark, making vulgar remarks constantly, accusing us of having meth, screwing each other, calling my wife a whore, nigger, and a lot of other slanderous remarks. So at that point, Mark refused to come back out to the property because he feared for his life. Skinny little faggot bitch is what he's calling us.
Freedom of speech.
I mean, it's just uncalled for, Your Honor. It's uncalled for.
are allowed to talk.
They should have never moved into the property. They had no authorization to move into the property. They didn't turn the utilities on. They're trying to take advantage of the system
No,
as the victim, and they're not the victim.
at all.
Let's go back to the, I guess,
Well, in all seriousness, they are awful.
before we get any further in this, he does raise a good issue that there was an issue. According to what he's telling me, you had no right to be on the property at the very beginning. How did Mr. Sakalis, did you give them a key to the property?
They had a code to the lockbox, but they told me they wanted to move some things in because they had to get out of the other property. And I told them, it's okay to move some of your property, your belongings in there, but you cannot physically take possession until the utilities are turned on and we do a formal walkthrough.
So
They moved in anyway.
where did I sign it? I never signed anything agreeing to that. I never signed any agreement to that at all. I signed a lease stating
You have the agreement. It clearly states it's your responsibility for utilities and you didn't turn them on. And you just told the judge a minute ago that you didn't have the money.
All right,
let's
all right,
move on
Jim.
then.
Okay, Jim.
All right, Judge, let's just move on.
All right, Jim. Whatever you say, buddy.
So
I lost that one, so let's pretend it didn't happen. Can we go on to something else that'll also lose? But at least it's new.
Move on.
So we got personal items that he says you gave you the code to allow personal items.
In all seriousness, this is funny, but the landlord's making sense all the way through. He's gaining credibility. I haven't seen him say anything really stupid yet.
Put in.
And
I'm sorry, what? What do you have? I'm sorry, man. What do you have?
Judge, that's not true at all. That's not true. Judge, I wouldn't just move into a home. I promise you that. I wouldn't just go somewhere without somebody.
You did. That's what you're alleging in your complaint. You showed up to court today and say, I live in this place and the water wasn't on. And now you're saying I wouldn't move into a place where the water isn't on. My God, how do you live with yourself?
Telling me I could go there.
I mean,
if you look at anything I've ever done criminally, I've never even been put in a pair of handcuffs.
Okay, but ma'am, nobody's accusing you of anything like that. I'm saying, when did you receive the
Yeah, let's review your criminal history, dummy.
code for the lockbox? When was that?
The 22nd. That would have to be the very
July 22nd.
first.
Received code.
And him state
When did you move items into the premises?
starting on the 22nd.
Started moving in. Okay, I'm gonna need some help from both of you for the lease agreement here. Let's just see what.
I also still am not seeing anywhere in our lease agreement where it's stating that I am responsible for turning on the utilities. I still don't see that in here, Judge.
Page 4. Second to last paragraph, page 4.
Only 3 pages, so I don't know what you're talking about. Second to last paragraph here states indemnification or liquid filled furniture. It goes extended absences.
It says utilities right down at the bottom. It says utilities and service. Tenant will be responsible for all utilities and services required on the premises.
On though.
Yeah, that doesn't state they weren't going to be on by the move-in date. That's what.
Yeah, but that's part of the issue here. So let's just kind of where's the date that everybody signed the lease agreement? I don't see a.
That is the amended lease agreement. If you look all the way on the right, it's kind of in the middle almost under landlord/seller/options.
I'm sorry, where is it?
If you look on underneath of landlord seller optionator, it's the 3rd page.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yep.
Okay.
25. So that was the amendment.
It looks like it's an August 21st.
August 20, 2025, because that's the amended one. So it's not the original lease.
Where's the original one? Why don't you have that?
I didn't think we would need the original one because this is the new lease that we're talking about.
The original one was, I'm pretty sure it was, we made a down payment to purchase the home in a few.
Yes, $800, which we also never received back.
Okay, so anyway, this is the one that we
Could have.
was the original the same lease agreement, just the dates and signatures? Is that what you're telling me?
I believe so. You'd have to ask Jim about that one. If it's like the same lease. I believe that he might have changed a few things too, because our lease before was possibility of having land contract, and our new one was not land contract.
Yeah, they're trying to do some land contract thing. Oh my God. The squatters really love the land contract concept, and I see why, because then it blurs lines and their arguments are all wrong. But then you can make bad arguments both in terms of leases and in terms of purchases.
Yeah, because
we definitely a month. Yeah, it's either way. It's definitely a month-to-month lease. It looks
Yeah,
like.
Yeah.
The second one was straight month to month.
Okay.
The only thing about it that I was really concerned about was that per my research, when I had looked this up and I researched it, there was 3 different Michigan laws that basically told me that for a landlord to have a home, they have to have the water on and it has to be habitable. And that,
and I understand that, but the problem is he's arguing that you weren't even supposed to be on the property for moving in yet.
But
that's his argument.
We have
rightly or wrongly, that's the argument right now. So,
and like I said, I mean,
and it's clear that you're responsible for utilities.
Correct, and I understand that paying them, yes, but turning them on.
Turning them on would mean that there has to be a deposit made too to have them turned on.
Which is also understandable, but I've like the house I live in currently right now, my water is in my landlord's.
Ma'am, it doesn't, they're all different. I got to go by what you have here. And part of it is, it says clearly that you're responsible for utilities.
Yeah, once we make that deposit to make it into our name, that's you know what I'm saying? Like that's what.
Yeah. Oh, I understand what you're telling me, and then what I'm trying to sort through is he's telling you that you shouldn't even been on the property yet.
A fib, sir. I promise you. I put it on my brother's ashes. That's a fib.
I promise you, we were never told that. Because if I was told that, I would have went to a different property.
She has a mother. Like we have family. Right. We could have went. We weren't like we could have went places. Could have got a hotel like we did when we had to move out when when the water got cut because of the birth.
When did you? I'm assuming you're not living there anymore. When did you move out?
You could have gone to conjugation camp. That would have helped you more than anything.
We moved out. Hold on, give me 1 second, sir. I can tell you that. So we ended up having to move out of the home before our lease was even up because the water was turned off because of the consumers were both.
When did you move out? That's all I need. When did you move out?
Let me look real fast.
I know it.
That would be. I believe the last week of September.
Well, why did it get shown again? Because
what excess weight?
Mm-hmm. Why?
It was vacant.
So basically, he didn't say nobody was living.
Yeah, the only reason we ended up having to move out too was because the water was shut off because the township was concerned that we were at $410 of usage for a month, and so they actually suspended the service because of that.
Well,
so we were.
I guess I'm not sure I understand it because utilities can be high, low. They're not going to just suddenly say, "Hey, this one's high, turn it off."
So
yeah, it was within weeks that bill was $400.
Yeah. Was it because you guys called them and said, "Listen, our utilities"?
They have.
I'm sorry.
They have a metric system that they brought to us. They showed up to our front door and brought the metric, the measurements of the metric used. They brought it to us. that it was an unhealthy amount of water was being used.
They brought the metric system to our front door with an unhealthy amount of water. I mean, you can't make this shit up.
And that was because of the bursting pipe walls.
Yeah.
And because I'm sorry. So you just out of the blue, they came up and knocked on the door.
Flint Township Water Department.
Yes, the Flint water. Yeah, Flint. Twice they came. They came twice, and the second time they actually posted something on the door. It was actually ruined by water, or else I would have printed that to give to you. But they posted something and they put it on the door, letting us know that our usage was so excessive that they were going to turn our utilities off.
Do you have that someplace at all? It might.
I don't, but
You can get it.
I could get it. Yeah, I could. I'm sure I could. I one from the township, and he told me,
Mr. Sakalis,
Yes, Your Honor.
did the township notify you that the water wasn't unreasonably high, or at least there were some concerns that the water was flowing someplace?
Yes, they notified me and let me know there was excessive water being used. I let them know that we were in process of eviction. They were creating mold issues by running the shower. That's why the excessive use. And the township took it upon themselves to shut the water off because of non-payment.
When did they notify you?
I don't have a date in front of me, Your Honor.
No.
Your Honor, I actually attached inside of this book as well, photographs of where the wall was leaking, where you could see basically where the pipe was bursted behind it. And you can actually see the mold progressing from that area itself. I have 3 different photos that were 3 weeks of progression. So
Okay, yep, I got the photos. Where
Yes.
is this in the, what area is this in, the bathroom, or what is it?
the bathroom right next to the shower that he's saying that we created the mold in. But if you look at that, you can clearly see that the water is stained on the wall. So the pipe is burst. You could actually, and I didn't know this, you could actually hear the water trickling freely. It was rushing out of the pipe in the water. You could literally hear it. And I did let him know that in the email repair request that I sent him.
Okay.
So saying that I created mold is crazy, because that's actually clearly documented in a 3-month progression.
Just like the water heater ventilation, it was improperly done, and it could have caused.
I can't have you tell me that, yeah, unless you've got an expert here to tell me anything about code violations, anything like that. Okay. So let me, Miss Ross, I'm going to ask you then. You got a water bill for $410, correct? And what month was that bill for? Do you know? I'm sorry.
I believe it was the month of September. It should be the very last page in your book. There's a couple of different receipts that I did get from the Township of Flint showing that $410 charge.
Okay. And that was just when you were moving out, correct?
Yes, sir.
September. Okay. And then it sounds like since the water was turned on, you made the deposit though at some point.
Yes, correct. The water
How
on
much was the deposit?
$500.
Okay.
I paid the deposit on August 14th. They actually used most of my deposit to pay that $410 bill.
Got a $90 check coming in the mail.
Oh, I was just going to ask. So you paid the $410 out of that deposit? Is that what happened?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you were.
Which is crazy, because my current place I live at right now, the last 3 months of our water bill is $91.
Evil people.
Okay, so again, we're kind of back now. This water seems to be the biggest part of this whole thing, as far as I can see. How are you claiming the 64? I understand 500 for the deposit that you made, that you had to pay for that excess water bill. Okay.
So
How did
But-
we get to $6,400? Where does that come from?
I have a couple easier ones. You want to do it? We can do an easier one. So
Okay.
I had a loss of compensation.
Yeah, I can't give you for loss of compensate from work.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do that in small claims. So
Why not?
I just can't. That's legal. I can't give you compensation for work. So okay.
I mean, I had to.
I'm
Okay.
not gonna, in fact, I won't do it anyways, but I can't. So
Okay.
okay. That
Okay.
would have been a nice easy one, but I can't do that. So
What about court costs?
well, yeah, I'm gonna give you court costs if you win. That comes automatically.
I had a consequential expenses, which was tab 8.
What does that mean? What is that?
It outlines out-of-pocket expenses and financial losses that were incurred as a result of
I'm sorry, boy, you cut out. It includes what?
it. Sorry, it is the financial losses that were incurred due to loss of running water, unresolved plumbing leaks, and the unsafe repairs. So after the water was cut off and we physically could not get the water turned back on, we had to go and stay somewhere else. My mom was out of town, so we were allowed to go and stay at her. She wasn't home at all. And so the week that she was gone, we had to go and get a hotel. So I was asking for the $408 back that we had to pay for the 1 week that we had to stay in a hotel that my mom wasn't.
Okay, so slow down for me with that then. So what did you need to stay in a hotel for? Okay, just slow down, go real slow for me. What?
So
you know,
remember, so after our water got shut off, we didn't have any water at all. And so
okay, and let's just kind of stick with that for a minute. So the water gets turned off at, you said, I think it was the end of September, correct?
yes,
Turned off end of September. And you're, at this point, you're still in the premises. Have you paid rent at all at this point?
I did. Yes, I did. I sent him $800 for my rent, and he actually sent me the payment back.
Okay.
And then
So
he
you're-
and that I didn't pay rent.
Okay, so the water gets turned off the end of September, and that's due to this excess water usage thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so end of September comes, water gets turned off. You're telling me you had to move, which if the water's turned off at that point, this is where you incur the $408. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. We went and stayed with my mom for the first 4 or 5 days, and then
Okay.
she had to leave for work to go to Mexico, and she didn't want us there while she was gone. So while she was gone, we had to go stay in a hotel while we waited for the new place we live at now.
So where did you stay? What was the hotel?
Yeah, we picked the cheapest one we could possibly find. The Red Roof on Pearson Road. And we stayed there because they have weekly rates. So
Okay, so tell me how you come up with the 408 then. How many days, or was it a week, or what was it?
we ended up being there for about 2 weeks.
So that's 408 is two weeks worth.
Yeah, about.
And why did you have to stay there 2 weeks?
Because my mom was gone. I don't have receipts for
So what happened at the end of 2 weeks? Where did you go at the end of the 2 week period?
back to my mom's house until
Oh, I see. So and then she came back. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
yeah, and then our new house was ready like 2 weeks after that. So then we moved over here. We were just waiting for the person who lived in this house to kind of live out the rest of her lease before we could move in.
Okay.
We were just playing the waiting period.
Did I'm just curious, the utility company, the Flint Township, did they give you a heads up that they were turning it off? Give you some kind of warning ahead of time?
I don't believe so. No, not at all.
It just got automatically turned off?
They had came over just those 2 times and kind of let us know that the water was excessive, but they didn't say that they were going to turn it off.
Okay. At that point, were you current? I know you've got the deposit, but were you current on the utility, the water bill? I mean, did you just get a bill, or what was going on with that?
I had never even got to receive a bill from them by the time that they had already shut it off.
Okay, so it's not like you got a warning, say, listen, your bill's overdue.
No,
Nothing
sir.
like that.
I never received a bill once. It was only on for about 2.5 weeks at the most
Okay.
before they shut it right.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Some stuff we've already talked about.
There was also $800 that we gave him for a security deposit that we never got back. And we also never got like a list of deductions for why he kept the security deposit.
So you paid $800 security deposit?
Yes, sir. It was originally like the down payment for the house, but in the amended agreement, he actually just switched it over to a security deposit that was to be returned at the end of our lease.
Okay. Mr. Scalise,
Yes, Your Honor.
was there an $800 security deposit made at some point?
Yes, there was, and it was returned to them. They also resided at the property for 3 additional months rent-free.
So when did you return the security deposit? She's telling me they didn't get the security deposit back.
I don't have
Well, they already said under oath that they received the $800 back. That was the security deposit.
I did not.
Last month of rent.
Yeah, the last $800 rent payment, which I also have printed out and put in the book that I sent to you and you sent back to me. So I printed that proof out and that's put in here.
On Zelle, remember?
That's your security deposit. You got that refunded and you got 3 months of rent-free.
The rent back. Dude.
That was the rent.
Bottom line, Your Honor, they should have never moved in. We would have never had this problem.
You gave us the keys.
Okay, but now we have the problem. So now we're here. We have to deal with it.
So you got, hold on, guys. So you got 800 back from something, whatever it was. You got 800 back, whether it was last month of rent or a security deposit. Is that right? You got some check for 800.
No, I sent him, so him and I were discussing my rent payment because I was having an issue with trying to get it to him because he only takes it one way. So I Zelled him his payment, and then not even 35, 45 minutes, he sent it back to me. And then I called him freaking out, Judge. I was like, what is going on? You know, you sent me my rent payment back. What's going on? And me and the investors decided that we're not going to move with your agreement anymore. So you have to move out. And I was like, what? So that wasn't that. He gave me my money back that I sent him for the last month's rent. He didn't give me my security deposit back. I gave Jim $2,100.
Okay, so so you sent him 800, what you're saying was for the month's rent.
Yes.
When did you send? What date was that sent?
August 1st.
That was August 1st. Okay, 2025.
I had paid him. I sent him money on July 21st. I sent him money on August 1st. And then I had sent him money one more time after that on August 3rd. So I sent him $800, $800, and $800.
Okay, so you got 800 on July 21st, you said?
Yep, and that was like the move-in $800.
That was that the security deposit?
Yep, that's security.
That's the security deposit. So then August 1st
Was another.
That was the rent. Okay.
Yep. And then August 3rd, because so it was 16 to move in, but he let me break it in half. So that's why we did 800 and 800. And
I
then
was just gonna ask. Okay, so
I paid the first month's worth of rent on the 3rd. It was a little bit late. And that was the one that he sent me right back.
I'm sorry, which one? The August 3rd one?
Yes.
Okay.
More cowbell.
Boy, and I apologize. With the, I didn't have. I guess I didn't write the date down for the date that you moved out and got the. What date did you actually move out then? When you got the notice that when the water was shut off? What was that date again?
You said the date that the water was shut off?
Yeah.
Probably one of the very last days in August, one of the very first days in September, because it was only on for about 2.5 weeks and we didn't get it on until the 14th. So
Oh my God! If this guy did this in front of Simpson, he would have called a SWAT team to come, tase him and drag him to jail immediately.
Oh yeah, here it is. All I had was last week of September, so that's the best we could.
oh, the last week of September?
Well, that's what you said at one point. You moved out last week of September. At some point, you did.
That was about, or maybe the second to last week of September.
Okay.
I might have it wrote down the exact date that we moved out.
And at that point, we were like just going there to feed our cats. And
Yeah.
things like we weren't even living there, I would call it. Just our things were there and our cats were there.
So, but if it was the last week of September, so you've got August rent. August rent was, we'll say, paid the first and the third. September's rent was not paid. Is that right?
No, because at that point we were going through eviction. We were already going through eviction at that point. So
Okay, well, in fact, I guess I should even ask about that. Did you go through an eviction with me?
yes, we did. Sure.
So what did I do with the eviction? What did I do with that?
You gave us until I'm pretty sure it was September 28th, that week, the weekend of, I think it was the last weekend of September, to get our things out.
Either September.
It was probably statutory, a 10-day period. They give you 10 days or something.
It might have been October even that you like, because I was working like 40, 50 hours at the time. So you gave us a little extra time to get out.
Okay. So I gave you, okay. So that's why, okay. And that prompted the eviction because well, for me, the easy one was probably just the rent wasn't owed. Was there anything else in the judgment that I'd put other than move by whatever date it was?
No.
Just repossession back to him and the Freedom Investment Group.
That was it.
We never got into the security deposit or anything, right? I just want to make sure I got everything. I don't want to double up on things. Mr. Scalise, is that true from your end too? I gave you an eviction.
No, it's not, Your Honor. I'm looking at the sign off on the paperwork. You actually gave them an additional 30 days to vacate from the premises, and it was dated on 11/28 of 25.
11/20. Oh, so we had even more time.
So they had three months of free rent while they were there.
Oh, we didn't live there, though. There was no water or electricity.
And you sent the rent back from September, so.
In our hotel cost,
Correct.
we're staying in a hotel.
For my attorney's advice, I cannot accept any rents during a eviction process per law.
In the process of eviction, when you sent that money back, Jim.
Not yet.
Correct.
Correct. And then I got the paper in the mail. And then that's when the eviction process started, after you sent the money back.
I'm just looking at the date. 11/28/25 is what the judge signed off on. 3 months
So
of free
what was the
rent.
date of the judgment?
It was 11/28/25, Your Honor.
11/28/25 was the.
That was the date that you.
Yep, I signed
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It was actually signed on the looks like it's signed on the 14th of November, Your Honor, by you.
Okay.
But the hearing took place on the 4th of November.
Our hotel receipts, though, show that we were out in September.
So hold on. I get Mr. Scalise for your on your end. Then you said you returned their security deposit on July 21st.
I stand corrected. It wasn't security deposit. It was the rent for September. I'm looking at the ledger now. For my attorney's advice, he said that I cannot accept the rents, so I returned it to them.
Okay, so you kept the security deposit.
Correct.
So why did you keep
And
the
that,
security deposit then?
well, per law, that I can keep that for unpaid rents. They didn't pay rent for 2 months.
Yeah, no, I understand why you can, but what did you keep
Yes.
it for? For the rent, the unpaid rent? Is that what it
Correct.
was?
Correct. For the unpaid rent. I'm still out $1,700 in court costs for the eviction, and as well as damages to the property left behind.
Okay.
I don't see any entitlement for them to receive any money from this.
The rent
It's
that
been a hardship on me.
Our clothes got ruined by the mold in your house. That's how, and all the damage.
You weren't supposed to move in, sir. You
We
were
were.
supposed to move in.
Cut it out.
You didn't turn your water on, and you moved in anyway.
All right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Take responsibility, sir.
Right.
With
All
you.
right.
We're here to talk to the judge about what's right and what's wrong. We're not here to argue.
So I guess so everything's kind of fitting in place for me a little bit anyway.
Oh my God, this crazy bee thinks she's the voice of reason now. I can't take it.
Right. So the one outstanding one is though. Yes, you got to help me from you've been good. Just remain quiet for me. But the water got shut off apparently at the end of last week of September. They moved out. What prompted from your end? What prompted that water to be shut off?
Are you talking to me, Your Honor?
Yeah, yeah.
You
must have gotten
Flint
notice that
Township.
You go.
Yeah, the Flint Township told me they had unpaid balance. So that's why they shut the water off, and they said they sent them notice as well.
My bill is in there though. You can see my bill though.
So they used their
Okay, so the landlord didn't even do it. They just didn't pay their bill.
their deposit that they put down for the water, and they used that to pay their unpaid balance.
Right.
And they shut the water off because of unpaid bill. That's per my conversation I had with Flint Township.
After 2.5 weeks.
Do we have a copy of the bill at all, the water bill?
Yeah, it's in there. Should be the last page. One of the last.
That last. Okay, yeah, you did mention there's some.
Yes, sir. There's actually a couple different ones. It actually shows you too that the water was only on for 2.5 weeks.
So the argument is I didn't pay my water bill. They turned it off, and my landlord's a big meanie, and it's his fault. That's literally the argument. That's what we've been talking about here.
Township isn't going to shut a bill it off over an overdue bill after 2.5 weeks.
After you gave him $500.
After I just gave him $500 to turn it on, right? I gave him $500 to turn it on, and they're not going to shut it off 2.5 weeks later for an undue bill when I haven't even got a bill.
And neither one of us have ever rented in Flint Township before to have a outstanding balance. So that just doesn't make any sense.
Well, you just told the court that you had over a $400 and some water bill.
For
from your house.
Your house, Jim. How?
Yeah, your responsibility.
Okay, man. All right.
You should have never moved into the property. You never turned the utilities on in your name. You violated the lease.
Judge Goggins, could you adjourn?
Could we stop with this arguing? This arguing back and forth is ridiculous. We're not here to argue. We're here to go back and forth on what's right and what's wrong, not to argue.
So
that's the definition of arguing, dummy.
It's a year-old man.
We do feel entitled to at least getting a little bit back of what we had to go through.
Mr. Scalis, did you send them an itemized billing of why you were keeping their security deposit?
I'm sorry?
Did you send them an itemized list of why you were keeping their security deposit?
No, I had legal representation, and my attorney advised me that I had a right to keep the security deposit for non-payment of rent.
But you didn't send them any kind of reason why you were keeping it?
I had no forwarding address to give them that notice, Your Honor. And I was dealing with harassing text messages and emails and phone call threats. I've had to call police twice out to my property. I got 2 police reports. It's just been continuous harassment after harassment. I've never seen any tenants act out like this after giving them an opportunity to move into a property that they should have never moved into in the first place, Your Honor.
Well, it kind of, and I understand what you're telling me.
In time.
Why? Hold on. Okay. Why would you let them stay there for several months if they didn't have a right to be on there?
I filed the eviction, Your Honor, and it took that long for them to be moved out of the property. After the first month of them moving in, I filed my eviction.
Not true.
Thank you, Andrea.
They were on a month-to-month basis.
Yeah, as of August 21st, when we moved into your house at the beginning of August.
So what would be the
Correct. That's within 30 days, you received notice to vacate the property.
For what reason? Well, for what reason?
You're on a month-to-month basis.
I know, but what reason?
Read your agreement. It clearly states that either party should cancel the lease with written notice. I exercise my right to cancel the lease with written notice.
So is that what you did, Mr. Segas? You sent them?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you're terminating? Or actually,
yes, Your Honor.
Terminating? Just okay.
The only thing we got.
We didn't ask for any additional rents or any court costs, which I endured over $1,700 in court costs and lost rents for 3 months, plus the damages that were left behind.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I've never dealt with a landlord like this in my life, and I have dealt with multiple different landlords. The landlord that I have right now, my electricity got shut off on accident, and he paid $1,100 to get my electricity turned back on. I've never dealt with a landlord like this in my life. This is the 5th, 6th, 7th time that Jim has been taken to court because he's a negligent landlord. If you look up his history, that's
slander. That's slander.
Well, take it up in court, sir.
Yeah. Because this isn't your case. This is mine. Remember, you did that to me last time. This isn't your case. This is my case.
Defamation of image. Yeah. I mean, you did the same thing, sir. So
right. I have.
You want me to read on?
It's defamation of image. just stop talking, dude. Stop talking. She's dumb. You're actually dumber.
Your text messages that you said, call my wife a whore, a bitch, a nigger.
All right.
You want me to continue that with the court?
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, so guys, that's it. We're all done. I'm muting everybody. I'll make a decision. Okay, we're all done. Okay, I'll come back on in a minute and make a decision.
Well, that went well.
Okay, the parties can come back on for me. Mr. Ross, Mr. Scouts. Get everybody there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Sir, I do have one question before I give you my final decision. And looking at your lease agreement, and you had mentioned they didn't give you an forwarding address. I don't see where in your lease agreement that you've notified them that they have 4 days after which moving to give you an address. I don't see anything in there. Do you have that in there? Do you have that in there? I don't see it.
I'd have to look, Your Honor. If you looked already and didn't see it, then it's not in there. I'm just basing off of my, I had legal representation, so I followed the lead from my attorney.
I think your attorney needs to help you redo your lease agreement because it's in violation if you don't have that in there, and I don't see it. Where was the security deposit being held?
in escrow.
In escrow? What do you mean in escrow? Where?
In escrow, Your Honor.
I know, but where?
What do you mean where?
Well, it was in a bank someplace?
In a bank, yes, in a bank, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you find that the lease agreement is in violation with regard to notifying tenants that they need to give you a forwarding address within 4 days after moving out? I heard information with regard to this water leak. I do find that the testimony from both sides is credible. There was a water leak, that the water usage was showing in excess, giving a bill of $410.67 for a bill based upon testimony should not have been that high. And looking at pictures of the room, I do find that the credibility of having a leak within the property was accurate enough. But given the violation on the lease agreement itself, tenants are awarded the $800 security deposit back, $410.67 for the water usage. It was in excess based upon the repairs that need to be made on pipes. I do understand what landlord is suggesting about not moving in. They didn't have authority to be on there, but nothing happened within a reasonable time period for them to be evicted earlier, granting judgment for the amount of $1,210.67 to tenants. Okay.
So they're threatening my contractor to get access to the property doesn't have any validity at all?
I've listened to everything. The reason they wouldn't have had that much if you didn't have a lease agreement that was unlawful.
First, can you define validity?
Okay. Honestly, that's the bulk of
So-
this thing. So I'm not going to argue it. That's my decision.
No, I was just trying to get
Good luck
some
to
clarity, Your Honor, so I don't make the same mistake twice. You're stating that had I had something in the lease stating that they needed to provide a forwarding address, that would have
Get an attorney.
made it valid, correct?
Well, we made part of it valid. Yep. Would have made the security deposit language valid and what you held on to with the security deposit. Yeah. But I'm not going to give you legal advice. That's my decision.
No, I understand.
$10. Okay. $1,210.67. Okay. Good luck to
All
everybody.
right, yes.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right. Bye now.
Oh my God. Again.
I didn't get to pay for it, buddy.
James Randall? Sure.
Yes.
I think I already, your name's familiar here. What were you here for? Mr. Randall?
Yeah.
We're here for a small claim. There it is. Champion Auto. It granted an alias. They didn't get you served.
No.
So they're going to have to get you served properly, or you might want to call them. Maybe you can work something out with them. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But other than that, they're just allowed to get proper service on you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I held out there because they were saying so much stuff, whatever. I got a note from Alyssa, but I think we got it all. All right. This one I'm told is good from Zach. I got midstream.
Mr. Novotny.
Your Honor, when it comes to substance, we would ask for any type of leniency for Miss Rose. Per my conversation with her, I know she's been in tune with Signature Health. She sees Dr. Mary. I believe she's been a patient there since 2017. She does have two sons. She's informed me of a 16 and 18-year-old. She did finish high school and completed some college, Your Honor. With that, we're just asking for any type of leniency. From my understanding, she has a total of 295 days.
What do you want to tell me?
Huh?
What do you want to tell me?
Thank you.
About what? Like,
Well, I'm going to sentence you, so what is it you want to tell me for me to consider?
I mean, definitely learned my lesson over there, you know, and I've apologized to you twice and I am sorry. I definitely do need to go to Signature Health, but, you know, I think that I know to ask when I need help with the using part, because I know that God's healed me from that, whether anybody believes that or not. However, I do know that I need trauma counseling, is what you recommended, right? Because I really don't know what I need from what's happening over there. But if you do keep me over there, Your Honor, with all due respect, if you could maybe move me to a different jail, you know, because I was going to bring my toothbrush and my toothpaste with me. They gave me 2 dirty towels last night and 1 the night before after my shower, right? So if maybe we can just, you know, is that good? Is that all right there? You know, it's whatever you think is best, you know, because it's temporary and I've definitely learned, I can say that, you know, and as long as they can't turn off my water illegally anymore because they're upset with me because my rights were violated. And I don't want you to think I'm getting loud with you because I'm not, but we're still people, you know, over there across the street. So they're not all bad, but, you know, they want to kill me. A lot of them do. They might not say it, but they do. And Anderson, the CO's over there. So like Miss Anderson, like when, you know, for her, what she's done to me in Dublin, I know Anderson is going to use that she blacks out because she's already said that. You know, and my parents said not to mention anybody else I know has been, you know, mentally and emotionally and physically abused over there besides myself. And I'm probably just going to stop right there if that's okay, Your Honor.
Well, since you've been involved in this case, you've done everything you can to resist treatment. You told me that from the outset, you just wanted to go to prison.
Yeah, I think I've been done beyond prison over there. It's probably worse than concentration.
And then when I put you on 5 years of probation,
Okay, sir.
you told me you were going to get kicked out of jail treatment. Did she complete jail treatment?
Nope. No. No. Your Honor, she refused.
Okay. And then I sent you to NeoCap.
Mm-hmm.
And
And they tried to put me in a
you
cold
lasted
shower.
overnight.
Sorry to interrupt you.
You lasted overnight.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you don't want it. You don't want any of this. Obviously, you don't want any of this because you didn't want it from the start. And I gave it a try anyway twice, seeing if you would wake up a little bit. And you haven't. And now, when you were here on December 9th and for probable cause was found, I set this for a final hearing June 9th. The only reason you're over here in February is because you're causing so many problems over there that they're sick of you. But you're claiming that everybody's out to get you over there?
Oh, I can prove that, Your Honor. I'm not being disrespectful to you at all. I'm just telling you.
Then why is this limited? Why don't any other people over there that I know of experience all these same problems?
Can you talk maybe for me? Because I really don't know where to start, you know, like. Right. So it's just, I guess, you know, it's whatever you say, Your Honor, you know, because it's temporary. And any more abuse over there, really, that they've already done to me, by turning off my water illegally, not getting me treatment to a hospital. When that girl jumped me, right, from 9:30 on my dad's birthday in case, imagine that, you know, God talks in parables, right? She was the one I told right in front of the nursing. You know what they were worried about, Your Honor, was my nose ring, right? When I told her that my head, my neck, and my back was swollen. Or how about Haynes, who left me laying on the floor butt naked, okay, with West there, begging for clothes overnight, right, with my water off. Yeah, I flooded my cell one time, right, because I begged in the window, even to the nurse who said she would see me the next day. Both of them, well, the older one and the older one again, and then they all came down after all my kites went in. But besides that, in cell 1, right, where I'm begging them for help, I'm laying on the floor hyperventilating in a bag in Dublin, and Anderson tricked me down into cell 8, and they leave me laying there in drool, no water, dehydrated, begging. Like I said, the only time Haynes came.
Yes, I really do like the emphasis on, yes, I flooded myself just one time.
down or west or Lavelle when I had to beg for water was to watch me lay there butt naked until Marino came the next day and found me on the floor and gave me clothes. And I'm not trying to get loud at all. Okay, so then after that, what happens is Charnis comes in and she saves me, literally. She moves me from cell 8 to cell 5. Best thing she ever did for me, you know, because they did that to me. So anyways, they put me down there and I begged them to call my emergency contact. Even Simpson, you know, I got him confused with Eldridge at first and Trumbull, the female one. You know, I begged them to call my dad, right, my emergency contact, because they asked you for that. You know what he told me? I'm not going to do that. Right. So he sees the condition that I'm in and he's still okay with that. And I get that I broke the law, but they did too. So whatever, you know, you do to me, Your Honor, you know, that hopefully somebody holds them liable, you know, for what they did, because they're not all bad over there, but them ones are rotten. They should at least have fingerprints and not be able to have their job anymore. They shouldn't. That's just my opinion on that. You know,
Them ones are rotten.
and that's where it starts, begging for a hospital. And then the nurse comes down to see me and she wants to know I have a mask on my face, not the fact that I'm swollen. All of them were in there, all of them, all the nurses, the 2 older women, the one with the braid in her hair, the longer one, and the guy, okay? And she wants to know I have a mask on my face. Well, Cosley, you know, it was probably unintentional, but she sprayed bug spray in cell 8 for me the night prior to that. And then she shut me in there. And I had to ask her to open the vent, and I still couldn't breathe. The water was still up. So I asked her for a mask. She gives me it on her middle finger, but, you know, I think that was just probably not intentional. And so then the nurse comes the next day to see me because I put all those kites in, you know, a couple of days later. And she says, I tell her about my head, my neck, and my back, still swollen. And you know what she tells me? Why do you have a mask on your face? So there you go. Again, she's worried about the mask on my face and nothing else, and still refuses to call my dad. They find me guilty. Joint and Cook do. And I ask her, because Joint signs the paper, but Cook is the one who did the hearing. You know what she told me verbally twice? I was doing a report. Well, then why the heck did he sign it? And I don't know if those are recorded or not, but I'm pretty sure I told them I needed a hospital too. They found me guilty of that. You know, they found me guilty of that. And I didn't close the door on her. She literally, if you watch the whole video, but Kay said that the fight wasn't caught on camera. Bullcrap. I refused to agree with that, period. You know, usually I fight back, but I don't know what happened, you know, to my head, literally. There's a couple times I laid in my own drool in the cell, begging them. I was kicking the doors. Yes, I was doing that because they threw me in there on my dad's birthday and wouldn't even let me call him. And then they moved me downstairs, and then everything just falls apart over there. You know, my mom says not to make it a revolving door, and I will never be back to that jail, not on that side. You know, probably not on any side. I don't know. I'm not certain on that. And let me just say, I forget where I was going with that. So that's just the start. And Lavelle comes in my cell. Okay, she takes my toothbrush the one time they moved me downstairs just to bully me. She took my Bible. Anderson, she refused my Bible to me, and they say a certain Bible. No, any Bible. She told me to chill out first. Well, they locked me down illegally because the son was trying to tell me which hand I put an armband on, whether I'm left or right. I'm both, you know, but more left. So he locked me upstairs. And let me think. Then the public pretender's office, no offense, because I like her, Bill Watson, blocks me, and I still can't get through. You know, I just want to know. I just want to know why. That's it. And nobody wants to tell me that.
You know, I couldn't hear all of that. Can you start again?
So if you still keep me in jail or you send me to prison, I'm good with that. Just tell me what, you know, what my sentence is. And if you can move me to a different jail where I'm not afraid to eat their food, have dirty towels, leave my toothbrush in there, you know, be able to clean my cell without putting the mop bucket right outside the door intentionally. And having to scrub it with the bleach bar. One time I did do that, but I usually put the soap in the toilet because it's better than none at all. You know, and I did make them carry me through the jail. Why? Because that's a story. So I thought it was because I said Padilla's pussy stank, right? I'm sorry to use that term in here, but I'm just being blunt and honest with you. The day they sprayed me that I finally broke in front of my parents, right? So, and I think it's because they seen they couldn't break me because I just God Christ the whole time, the 2 hours in the chair, because that's who saves me. You know, I thought God hated me, but he doesn't because I'm still here, you know? So anyways, justice, go figure, God, parables. Turns off my water, but they leave the hot on just that much, right? And I'm begging for a plunger. To those people who have the little Save-A-Life pins on their shirt, they should have take that class again. Or not even have one, because you know what? I use drugs, and I would rather say that than to say I'm mentally ill like some of them people over there who can just abuse people like that. And it is. I'm going to say it's like the Bible, chasing after the wind. And then there's people, you know, there's good people, I hope. There has to be. You know, you guys lock up really bad people. Yeah, and you know, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Ms. Canales, how many days does she have?
Your Honor, she has 96 days on this violation and 295 total.
Okay, clearly, as I indicated previously, you've, from the start, made it clear you didn't want to be on probation and do what was required. So you have abandoned your community control sanction. So I'm going to terminate your community control, sentence you to 12 months in prison with credit for 295 days. Now, you're right, Miss Rose, that what I do is just temporary. What you do may result in some permanence depending on what you do, okay? You've played with permanence before with your overdosing. So if you get out, you continue to do that, then there's the permanency. So
Wow.
you'll get out, nobody's gonna have you, nobody's gonna tell you where you have to go, what you have to do, whatever conditions you have. You're gonna determine what course you take by the actions that you take. Anything else, Ms. Novotny?
No, Your Honor.
All right,
I have a question. Can I ask you two things?
go ahead.
Number one is, so when they refuse you your Bible, what is that?
Well, I'm not gonna get into that because
Because they're guilty. And my second
not-
thing, Your Honor, is I hope you're making a great example out of me for the rest of them across the street. Because I had the Good Samaritan law that should have protected me and it didn't. They don't have one to protect
I don't
them.
make examples out of people.
You're making one out of me and I
People come here and I give them the sentence I think is appropriate based on the circumstances. Now, you came here from the beginning and didn't want to hear anything about treatment because you knew better, you just wanted to go to prison. Okay, now if I wanted to make an example out of you, I'd have put you in prison for 36 months. That's what I would have done, okay? But I didn't do that. I put you on probation, you violated right away. I kept you on probation, you violated again. Now you're here. If I wanted to make an example out of you today, I'd have given you 36 months. Did I give you 36 months?
No, sir, you did not.
What was it?
Wow. Wow. That just got better and better. And by that I mean worse and worse. Fantastic. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Alyssa. That was the finest unhinged rant I think I've ever seen. And I've seen a few unhinged rants. It was kind of like being married again. It was fantastic. Good Lord. All right. Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate it. I hate to even say this, but I think Clay had a meeting.